I'm going to recommend 9 science fiction novellas for you today, so let me know what you think and subscribe to the channel. First up, Slow Bullets by Alastair Reynolds, published in 2015. I like this recommendation for the simple fact that it's a great science fiction novella, but I also like it as a starting point introduction to try out Alastair Reynolds' work. It's short, it's a standalone, and it's got great initial premise. An interstellar war winds down, and main character Skur has been captured by the enemy. This enemy is not your play by the rules, rules of engagement, rules of war, rules of peace type of guy. This might not end well for Skur. Skur is well aware of this, but the next thing that we know, she's waking up from hibernation cryosleep on some sort of unfamiliar transport ship. It turns out that this ship is host to many incarcerated fighters from both sides of the conflict, as well as some of the other crew. It's also not clear at first where and when exactly they are, and survival just might depend on working together, and Skur's ability to focus beyond just her desire for revenge. Silently and Very Fast by Catherynne Valente, published in 2011. The only other time that I've spoken about Catherynne Valente on the channel was last year on my Hugo nominees review last year, and I selected her short story, The Sin of America, as my favorite new short fiction of the year. Silently and Very Fast was also a Hugo and Nebula Award nominee. What really made me love this AI-centered science fiction fairy tale of sorts were the humanity themes. It's impossible for me to not judge AI-focused work against Asimov, Dick, Lem, and Clark, and this is one of the few modern works for me that hits the mark. First, to get this out of the way, with Valente, the prose is always a slam dunk, the prose is mesmerizing, and it just floats with the wind. It's really astonishing how she writes. It's dreamlike. This is a story about an AI that evolves over generations and becomes more aware, confused, curious, and consumed with its identity and purpose. Obvious Asimov, iRobot, Dick, Do Androids Dream, Simac, City vibes pop up here and there, but this really stands on its own, and it adds to this corner of the science fiction world. Though not a similar work to the Murderbot Diaries or Ishiguro's recent novel, Clara and the Sun, I do recommend this to those who enjoyed those titles. I think with this one, it succeeds a bit more in the area of examining the AI, wrestling with identity and existence. Stories of Your Life by Ted Chiang, published in 2002. This is the shortest work on the list by a mile. This won the 2000 Nebula Award for Best Novella and also appears in Chiang's short stories compilation, Stories of Your Life and Others. The acclaimed science fiction movie Arrival was adapted from this work. In the story, a linguistics expert and a physicist are called in by the US military when aliens arrive. Main character Dr. Louise Banks, the linguist, while recalling other moments in her life, narrates the story as a recollection of the time that she spent trying to establish communication with the aliens. What she discovers about their language is absolutely fascinating. Chiang presents a very inventive alien language, truly unique to our own. Most interesting in the story is how the more Dr. Banks learns the alien language, the more she begins to experience language and time in ways that are similar to the aliens. The movie Arrival is enjoyable, but the story is not to be missed science fiction. The God Engines by John Scalzi, published in 2009. Scalzi is always a reliable, entertaining read. While I prefer his novel-length work, he packs quite a bit in the short read. Having recently read The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell reminded me of this novella with some overlapping themes of spreading religion to non-believers. In The God Engines, a devout religious character, Captain Tefe, is sent off in his aptly named ship, the Righteous, to spread the good news of our Lord to the faithless heathens. The universe is really amazing. Humanity is out among the stars, and we've got ships that are powered by indentured gods, sort of. There are some very creative explorations of faith and religion at work here, and they fit really well in the novel, but maybe could have been more fully realized if we had some more pages. The story is more science fantasy than pure science fiction, but I include it because it's still a great space opera with solid philosophic moments about gods and devotion, and extra points for doing dark science fiction very well also. Just a reminder, if you're here for science fiction recommendations and you haven't watched it yet and you've got 3.5 hours to spare, check out my top 210 science fiction books video with recommendations from your favorite authors and booktubers. Mephisto and Onyx by Harlan Ellison, published in 1993. While I generally have a few issues with Ellison's prose and approach, he is a fantastic storyteller and he presents an interesting plot in Mephisto. We'll save my issues with Ellison's at time overpowering author's voice, overpowering characters for another time. The setup here is that protagonist Rudy Paris is a telepath who can jump into people's minds. His ex, the DA somewhere in Alabama, asks him to jump into the mind of a convicted mass murderer. Why else? Because she wants him to help prove that the guy's innocent. The story is at times suspenseful, dark, haunting, impressive, and intense, and there's one heck of an ending. Pick this one up if you're in need of a page turner that pulls you in quick, and that for some of you will blow your socks off. Freeze Frame Revolution by Peter Watts, published in 2018. My biggest issue with modern novellas is that they're all too often bloated short stories or are half-built novels. Freeze Frame is a very fulfilling novella. It hits the right balance of character development, realized plot, and the perfect dose of science fiction goodies. Freeze Frame is a solid space opera with great AI, time dilation, and cryosleep elements. In Freeze Frame Revolution, some among the thousands-large crew of a comet enclosed spaceship begin to question the status and endgame of their mission, as well as the role, motives, and intentions of the not-that-brilliant AI that's managing the ship, the chimp. The chimp is responsible for waking small numbers of the crew every now and then, as they are needed. One of the primary objectives of the mission is to construct and place stargates on the planets that they visit, and they visit a lot of planets. It's not unusual for crew members to spend thousands of years in cryosleep between shifts and waking. When you're enlisted to service, you're not always matched with the same crew. This makes it really difficult not only to share your concerns with the rest of the crew, but especially difficult to plot a mutiny and overthrow the chimp. Watts is very creative in how he pulls this off, and it all works perfectly in this short fiction format. The Nemesis Effect is a 2021 release from my favorite independent author, Michael Schotter. The story is set in a peculiar future setting. The Earth has faced some sort of major worldwide conflict. Areas of the city are referred to as Old City, as they've maintained the historical look of the 21st century. There's interesting technology. Citizens are all fitted with ocular implants, sort of like Siri or Alexa in your eye. And the world is pretty much dominated by the executives. Executives are the top dogs in this world. An executive is easily identified by a lapel pin projecting either Roman numerals or stars. There are dozens of executive levels, but the highest levels are denoted by stars. Those with the highest rank, we are talking 3 stars, or more unheard of, 2 stars, are almost regarded as a myth. They are revered. Even laying eyes on one of these executives, like a 2-star, would be a story worth telling for the rest of your life. The mood is kind of unsettling, but it's also really intriguing. There's nothing obviously wrong with the people or the way that they're acting. People are polite, they're quiet, and perhaps too pleasant. Everything's just a little bit off. Schotter also delivers a space mission, as there's some sort of threatening anomaly in space that the executives will need to confront. The strongest effect of Schotter's writing is his ability to make us accept this world and to compel us to keep turning pages to see if the next page will let us in on why people are the way that they are. I told you I love this guy. Big Man Down by Michael Schotter, published in 2022. Because I love Schotter's writing and I wanted an opportunity to perhaps coin the term, the Schotterverse, here's another Michael Schotter novella for you. I should mention full reviews for both books are available on my channel. The Big Man Down review even comes with some One Direction tribute parody music, if that's enticing to anybody. A standalone story, Big Man Down does exist in the same universe as the Nemesis Effect. The people are just as weird. Dialogue is still the right amount of just a bit off. Whereas Nemesis Effect was a bit more Arthur C. Clarke, this one feels a little bit more Alfred Bester. The science fiction in this one is more AI than outer space, and driving the action in this novella is a low-key murder mystery. The star, again, are the unsettling dynamics of a world that we still don't quite understand. If these 2 novellas click for you, it will probably be tough to avoid devouring more of Schotter's work. Schotter also has a new release novel coming out this year, and it's called 500. It's a science fiction adventure story. Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, published in 2015. Binti is a series of science fiction novellas by Nigerian author Nnedi Okorafor. And Binti, an African girl from a local tribe, is the first of her people to be accepted into a prestigious university in a different part of the galaxy. Making this choice will somewhat alienate her from her people. Her community is already looked down upon by other communities. Binti has mixed feelings about her belonging to her community and her drive to do something greater than just what is expected for her. She boards the organic-based spaceship that will take her to the university and is immediately confronted with an attack from the alien Medusa. Binti struggles to find a way to survive appease, negotiate, and resolve the situation. This is a stark contrast from stories that enlist badass protagonists who aggressively fight their way through the invading aliens, leaving dead alien bodies in their wake. I really enjoyed this one for how much of a unique relative to other science fiction story this was. Okorafor blends science fiction, nature, culture, mysticism, and technology in very appealing ways. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read.